I've been driving for Uber for about 2 years now, mostly nights. It's not my dream job, but it keeps the lights on, and I like the freedom, pick my hours, turn off the app when I'm done. Around here, the fares are predictable, bar hoppers downtown, airport runs, the occasional college kid heading home. After midnight, though, things slow down, and I end up cruising the quieter parts of town, waiting for the ping that'll take me somewhere worth the gas. That night was a Wednesday, crisp and foggy, the kind of weather that makes the streetlights look like smudged halos. I just dropped off a chatty bartender at her apartment near the river when my phone lit up with a new request. Hollow Road, the app read. No house number, just the street, about 8 miles out in the sticks, past the strip malls, past the subdivisions, where the pavement narrows and the trees close in. The payout was decent, so I tapped accept, figuring it was some stranded soul needing a lift back to civilization. The drive out was eerie, fog curling across the road like smoke, my headlights barely cutting through it. Hollow Road's a winding stretch, unpaved in spots, lined with old oaks and the skeletons of abandoned barns. No streetlights, no cell signal half the time, just me, the Prius's soft hum, and the occasional rustle of something moving in the underbrush. I rolled down the window a crack, letting the damp air in, and checked the app again. The pin was dead ahead, near a sharp bend marked by a crooked mailbox. I slowed to a crawl, scanning the roadside. That's when I saw her, standing under an oak, illuminated by my headlights. She was young, maybe mid-20s, wearing a black jacket and jeans, her hair tied back in a messy bun. No car nearby, no bag, just her, hands tucked into her sleeves, staring at the ground. She didn't wave, didn't move until I stopped and leaned out. "You my ride?" I called, keeping my voice friendly. She looked up, her face pale in the light, eyes wide but steady. "Yeah," she said, soft but clear. "Thanks for coming out here." She climbed into the back seat, pulling the door shut with a quiet thud, and settled in, arms crossed tight, like she was cold. "Where we headed?" I asked, glancing at her in the rear view. The app hadn't given me a drop-off yet, just TBD. "Downtown," she said, after a pause. "By the library. I'll tell you where to turn." I nodded and eased back onto the road, the tires crunching over gravel. Downtown was a straight shot, maybe 15 minutes if I pushed it, but something about her felt off. She wasn't drunk, wasn't fidgety like someone lost or scared, just still. Too still. I've picked up all types, party girls, nervous first-timers, creeps who don't tip, but she didn't fit any of those boxes. "You okay?" I asked, trying to fill the silence. Not a lot of people out here this late. She smiled, faint and tight. "I'm fine. Just needed to get out of there." "Out of where?" I pressed, half curious, half uneasy. There wasn't a house for miles, unless she'd walked from one of the old farms tucked off the road. She didn't answer, just looked out the window, her reflection ghost-like in the glass. I let it drop, turning up the heat a notch. The fog was thickening, swallowing the trees, and I had to squint to keep the lines in sight. That's when I noticed it, a faint glow in my side mirror, headlights trailing us through the haze. Not close, but steady, matching my pace. I sped up a little, testing it. The light stayed with me, hovering just out of detail. Could have been a coincidence, another car heading into town, but Hollow Road's not exactly a thoroughfare. My gut twisted. I've heard stories from other drivers, late-night weirdos, but nothing like this. "Everything all right up there?" she asked, her voice cutting through my thoughts. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a grin. "Just dodging potholes." She nodded, but her eyes flicked to the mirror, then back to me. "You're a good driver," she said, almost too casual. "You do this a lot?" "Most nights," I said, keeping my tone light. "Pays better than days." "Must see some strange stuff," she said, leaning forward slightly. "Out here, alone." I shrugged, but my hands tightened on the wheel. The headlights were closer now, the shape of a van emerging through the fog, its grille dark and boxy. "Yeah, you get used to it," I said, my voice thinner than I meant it to be. "Take the next right," she said suddenly, pointing to a turnoff I hadn't even seen, a narrow lane veering into the woods, barely wide enough for the car. "That's not the way to downtown," I said, slowing but not turning. "It's a dead end." "I know," she said, her voice dropping low. "I need to stop somewhere first." "It's quick." My stomach sank. The van was gaining, its lights flooding my mirrors, and I could hear its engine now, a low growl over the Prius's whine. "What kind of stop?" I asked, stalling, my mind racing. There was a gas station 5 miles ahead, lights, people, a chance to shake this. "Just a friend," she said, too smooth, too rehearsed. "Pull over up there, by the clearing." I glanced at her in the mirror. Her smile was gone, her jaw set, and for the first time, I saw something in her eyes, something hard, calculating. The van was right behind us now, practically kissing my bumper. I flicked on my blinker, pretending to comply, but my foot hovered over the gas. The gas station was my shot, open 24/7, always a trucker or two hanging around. "All right," I said, nodding. "One quick stop." She relaxed, just a fraction, and that's when I floored it, the Prius lurching forward with a squeal. The van swerved, caught off guard, and she jolted against the seat, cursing under her breath. "What are you doing?" she snapped, her hand darting to the door handle. "Shortcut," I said, gritting my teeth, weaving through the fog. The gas station sign glowed ahead, a faint red blur. The van recovered fast, its horn blaring, and I saw a shadow lean out the passenger side, something glinting in their hand. "Stop the car," she shouted, lunging forward, her fingers brushing my shoulder. I swerved hard, throwing her back, and she hit the seat with a grunt. The van rammed my bumper, jolting me forward, but I kept my foot down, the station's lights growing brighter. I hit the lot at full speed, skidding to a stop by the pumps. 2 truckers were outside, smoking by a rig, and I laid on the horn, rolling down the window. "Help!" I didn't finish. She bolted from the back, shoving the door open and sprinting toward the woods. The van screeched in behind me, but the truckers turned, shouting, and it peeled out, tires smoking as it vanished into the fog. I stumbled out, shaking, and the truckers ran over. "What the hell's going on?" one asked, a big guy with a beard. She tried to, "I don't know," I stammered, my heart hammering. There was a van, following us. They called the cops while I caught my breath, the adrenaline souring into nausea. The police showed up fast, took my statement, checked the car. They found a phone in the back seat, not mine, a cheap burner, screen locked. The app showed the ride request came from an account opened that day, paid with a prepaid card. The van's plates, caught on the gas station's grainy camera, were stolen, lifted from a junkyard a county over. They think it was a setup, maybe a carjacking, maybe something worse. The woman's face was on the Uber profile, but the name was fake, the photo blurry. The cops said she might have planned to lure me off-road, where the van could finish the job. No clue why me, or if it was random. The truckers saved me, spooking them off, but I still see her eyes in my sleep, cold, like she'd done it before. I haven't driven nights since. I keep the app off, the Prius parked in my driveway, but every time I pass Hollow Road, I wonder who was in that van, and what they wanted with me.